in 27 cities with probably thousands of underage young girls. It must lead to a Stephen Lawrence-style national inquiry looking into what the institutional failures have been. Well, here, the majority of these girls were in care homes and therefore were let down by these care homes. One girl was impregnated twice before the age of 15 in her care home because an adult predator was allowed into their care home to statutorily rape her, eventually found dead from a heroin overdose. There has been failures on an institutional level in the care homes up and down this country. There have been failures on an institutional level in the police up and down this country. And there have been failures on an institutional level in local Labour councils, probably not only Labour, but mainly Labour councils up and down this country because people have been scared of being called racist. And the fear of racism or the fear of so-called Islamophobia, which is a misnomer, the fear, more appropriately, of anti-Muslim bigotry must never be an excuse to allow underage girls to be raped and abused in this way. Think of that. Imagine that. 27 cities and counting. Because I can guarantee you we haven't heard the end of this yet. Imagine the thousands of victims. Imagine the impunity with which these men must have been acting. Some of the girls as young as 11. One girl, if my memory serves me correctly, it was in Oxford. One girl was even branded by her raper as property of, and then his name, on her leg. And I think, if memory serves me correctly, that girl was 11 years old. It is an absolute disgrace. People have cared for their reputations over the safety of children in this country being raped and drugged and passed around like meat because of the bigotry and the prejudices of these Pakistani Muslim men who were looking down on these children as less than, as inferior, as some form of infidel that doesn't deserve honour or dignity. And I address you now here, oh woke left wing. You talk about believing the victim. Look it up. Go to your smartphone and Google Ella Hill. She writes a piece in The Independent in which she describes the religious extremist terminology her abusers were using as they were sexually exploiting her as a child, in which she talks of how they called her an infidel and how they abused her race and her lack of Islamic faith and justified treating her in this way because they viewed her as less than because they believed themselves to be Muslim supremacists. Don't tell me that their Muslim identity had nothing to do with this. I have lived and breathed this community all of my life. I can guarantee you that it's not the cause, but a factor in the way in which these girls was treated was the culture of these men, and as part of that culture is their religious attitude towards non-Muslims. And that is the reason that you see almost exclusively that they are men like me, Pakistani, British, Muslim. Most of them, all of them Muslims, almost all Pakistani Muslims. And the victims, almost all underage white girls. We've started to convict people. Yes, I listed those 27 cities for you, which is bad enough as it is. But where's the accountability for the police who covered this up? Where's the accountability for the Labour councils who covered this up? Where are the accolades for Anne Cryer MP, former Labour MP in Keighley, who raised this years and years ago, was a sole voice, crying out into the wilderness, beseeching people to listen to her? Then came Julie Bindel, the first to write columns about this, ignored. In fact, she writes herself that in 2007 she was looking into this and her pieces were shelved. Look how Sarah Champion was treated, Labour front bencher who was sacked because she said this was a problem. And now finally the independent police watchdog has said, yes, it was covered up by the police. Well, that's not good enough, because nothing short of this national and statutory inquiry will satisfy the victims and bring them dignity and honour, but also quell the anger that is people are rightfully feeling as these cases unfold. As I say, it is a national disgrace.